What's up, guys? I'm Mike from StockedUp, and welcome back to the Stocks with Mike and Tom show. We have a lot of important information to share with everyone in today's video. The market didn't have the best day today. It wasn't necessarily bad, but it just wasn't the best. We have some news with how North Korea fired 2 missiles pretty recently, so we're going to be covering that and Powell's testimony. We also have a little bit of news with Pfizer, and at the end of the video, we have a $16.5 million trade that expires this Friday. We also have a lot of other solid plays, so make sure to stick around for those. And if you are new here, don't forget to subscribe. But with that being said, Tom, what happened in the market today?
Yeah, the market really started going down. It was a pretty scary thing to see at the end of the day, with the SPY coming all the way down below 390 and hitting 389. But this could have happened because North Korea fired multiple short-range missiles in direct challenge to the Biden administration, according to the Washington Post. And they also said that these tests could have been because of how Washington had some joint military exercises with South Korea last weekend. So that's also a reason why they could have tested these. But there's just a lot of bad things going on with North Korea. It's almost like a black swan event. We can see it did affect the markets today, but also something came out with Yellen and Powell where they acknowledged that the prices in some areas of the market look expensive. And Representative Jin Haynes, Democrat of Connecticut, pretty much asked them that if they're at all worried about the market turmoil when the $1 trillion fiscal stimulus efforts fade and the Fed curbs its easy monetary policy. So he's pretty much asking that whenever the Fed is done pretty much boosting the market, is that going to hurt them? And this is Yellen's response. She says, I think that in an environment where asset prices are high, that's what's important for regulators to make sure that the financial sector is resilient. We look carefully at financial stability on an ongoing basis, and we have the framework with 4 pillars. And Powell added, if you look at those, the evidence is kind of mixed. You can say that some of the asset prices are a bit high, but the bank system is highly capitalized. So they're pretty much saying the prices right now could be a little high. And if we go to a daily chart of the SPY, we can see that the SPY is still kind of around all-time highs, only $10 off from that all-time high around $400. And I think that there could be some more movement here on the SPY to the downside in the shorter term. And I think that what Treasury Secretary Yellen and Fed Chair Powell are doing is they're kind of just beating around the bush, trying to keep the markets from going down, I think.
Very interesting. So we did see a little bit of mixed movement today in the market. Facebook and Microsoft and a couple other tech stocks started the day off pretty good, and then they kind of just faded off towards the end of the day. So yeah, we just saw kind of like a mixed day. There wasn't a ton of momentum to the upside or the downside. So just an interesting day overall. And then what's going on with Pfizer?
Yeah, they ended up actually going down, but Pfizer begins an early stage clinical trial testing oral antiviral drugs for COVID. And that's a pretty good revelation. If you could get a good oral antiviral drug that could kind of combat COVID, or kind of, it's not going to be a vaccine, but it'll kind of combat it. Like if you get the flu, you'll go get your medication, and then it'll kind of make the disease better. And, you might be able to get it again though, but because you're not immune and you didn't get the vaccine, but that's pretty much what it is. It'll be like a little oral drug that will help with COVID. And I kind of expected this to make Pfizer kind of go up today, but we can see it did actually make them go down, but a lot of stocks went down. So Pfizer could have just got pulled down with the overall market, but they are kind of holding the support around 35.30 pretty well.
All right, well, let's get right into our member of the day and momentum plays. With today's member of the day, we have Harsh SM. So Harsh has been in the group for quite some time now. Overall, he's super active and just a good member. So thank you so much, and huge shout out to Harsh SM. But with that being said, let's get right into the momentum plays. And with the first one, we have MAR, and I actually saw a good amount of negative momentum across a lot of different hotel stocks today. MAR, LVS, and WYNN all had a pretty bad day, so just definitely be on the lookout for hotel stocks tomorrow, but specifically MAR.
Yep, and with MAR, make them fall below 140, 140.
All right, with the next one, we have DAL to the downside.
Yep, Delta Airlines. These have actually been recovering nicely, but now they're starting to pull back. Make it fall below 45, 45.
All right, and with the last one, we have MU.
Yep, Micron. Make them fall below 84.97 or 85.
All right, sounds good. So we are eyeing all of these setups for potential day trades to the downside tomorrow. Basically, if they break below the levels Tom listed, we are eyeing them for a quick in and out day trade to the downside. But with that being said, let's get right into the $16.5 million trade for this Friday. We are looking at the Facebook 300 strike calls that expired this Friday, March 26th. There was about $16.5 million put into the play. This is about $10 out of the money, and I don't love the way Facebook moved today, so I'm going to have to say that they are shorting these calls, and they want Facebook below $300 by Friday. What do you think?
Yeah, I would definitely have to agree with this one. I mean, it looks like Facebook double topped around 300. It's moving below the 100 SMA. And if I go to my max daily chart, there's actually a long-term trend line here that's in blue. And you can see how often Facebook actually reacts off of this trend line. And of course, just yesterday, we hit the trend line. And now today, we're starting to go down. So we might see another continuation with another red day tomorrow. We could always start to test this trend line again tomorrow, but I would assume that we would see another red day to the downside, just given what we've seen. And I would think that maybe they had this line plotted, or they're just going off of that really, really large $300 resistance that it's hit in the past a few times.
Good stuff. Well, let's get right into our questions from the previous episode. With the first question, we have Royal saying, can you take a look at CCIV? So this stock had a horrible day today, down around 8%, which is not good to see. It has a pretty big support at $20. I do like this stock for the long term. Its implied volatility is relatively high, it's at around 105%. I love this stock for cash secured puts. For example, you could sell like the 20 strike put for April 16th and get a pretty nice premium of about $74, which is pretty good, especially for a stock that low. Overall, I really like it for the long term. For the short term, I think it has potential to retest that support of around $20. And if it does, I guess it wouldn't hurt to, maybe pick up some calls or something like that. But it really depends on the setup.
Yeah, like you said, it depends on the setup, and I think this stock has honestly humbled a lot of traders over the past year or the past 6 months, I should say. I mean, there's just been a lot of movement. I mean, crazy movement, 9.6 all the way up to 64, now all the way back down to 24. And I remember whenever this stock was at 50 and 60, everybody was still saying to buy it up, and it was going to be a good long-term hold and stuff like that. But it still could be for the longer term. It's just that keep in mind, always buy low, and right now it's actually a pretty good opportunity, and it's just the opportunity is just becoming better and better as the stock just keeps falling down.
All right, with the next question, we have Dan saying, what do you think of OTRK? I have a 40 strike call that expires January 2022, but I'm down around 25%. So I like how the option has a lot of time, but just looking at this like max weekly chart or even like max daily chart, it's just like a tricky situation. Tom, do you have any levels or anything on this one?
Yeah, it was actually a really solid resistance around $40. So it hit that a few days ago and started going back down. If it can break above 40, I think you could start to see it fill this gap back up. And I think it'd be a pretty safe trade back up to 45 or 46 at least to this resistance that it hit on November 25th of last year. But I will say it does look like a pretty good setup if it can break that. If it can't break it, unfortunately, it might keep going down. This is a very strange chart. It's had a lot of good movement, but then also a lot of bad movement with this gap back down. I think in the longer term, it might be okay, just given what I'm looking at, but I don't know anything fundamentally about them. But I will say that resistance at $40 could be a pretty key level for you on these. If it can't pass above that, you're gonna be holding this through a pretty good loss over a couple of months as it starts to retest lows maybe around 20 and kind of range between 20 and 40.
Good stuff. Well, Tom, I want to point something out that's happening live in after hours right now, and that's GME stock. It's really starting to move. It's sitting right around 192 right now. It was at 195 like a couple seconds ago. But guys, don't forget we have GME earnings today after close. Actually, the earnings don't report for a little bit, so they're not going to be covered in this video. But once this video releases, don't forget to check out GME earnings. I know a lot of people are going to have their eyes on them. Right now, it's already at 195. I'm curious what this thing's going to look like, in a couple hours from now.
Yeah, wow. The earnings actually just posted. It's a 1.34 EPS actual versus a 1.458 EPA estimate. So they actually lost a little bit on earnings, but it looks like there's a lot of hype in there. And this actually updated while we were looking at it, Mike. So they must have just reported it. It's very interesting to see them kind of lose on those earnings and the stocks still go up. But there's going to be a lot of hype with GameStop, and who knows where we're going to move before open tomorrow. Sometimes we see these stocks with earnings fly up and then they'll fly all the way back down to lows like of 175 by market open. So we'll just have to see what happens.
Oh, they reported a lot earlier than I thought, but overall it looks like they're trending pretty nicely, which is good to see. Either way, I'm still excited to see what this looks like tomorrow morning. It's moving with a lot of momentum right now. It's at right around 197, so definitely have your eyes on that. But let's take a look at the next question. With the next question, we have Kay saying, "Hey, Mike and Tom, can you take a look at WBA? I like them for the long term. And what are some good questions to ask when looking to invest in a company for the long term? Do I look at macroeconomics, business model, SWOT, etc.? So those are some good things to look at. Also, their industry will play a huge role. This question is for a whole video in itself, so we can't answer everything about this question just in this video, but I'm going to make a video dedicated to this topic to hopefully answer your question. But yeah, I mean, those are some good factors to look at. The macroeconomics, business model, industry, and then also just looking at their fundamentals, seeing how much cash they have, who are their leaders, who are some of their executives and things like that. But Tom, what do you think of WBA?
Yeah, I think WBA could be really good in the longer term, especially going forward. And some of the longer term factors I'm just going to look at really quick with Walgreens for me is going to be everything going on with COVID and stuff. I think that that's going to boost their sales, at least in the shorter term. They're also their long term chart, they're down over the past few years. So hopefully they can start to recover back to the upside. They are up quite a bit right now, though. And I would say in the shorter term, it looks like they just fell below a pretty good shorter term support around 51 today, or 52 I should say, but it looks like they are starting to go down in the shorter term, but I would think in the longer term that they would be pretty good.
All right, with the next question, we have Bravo saying, "Awesome video, guys. Keep up the good work. Trading hard these days because it feels like we are stuck in a range." So I'm looking at the SPY right now. And yeah, it's a lot of bouncing back and forth. It is a little tough to trade right now, like swing trades. Day trades, there is some good momentum. Usually every day with a couple certain stocks, but besides that, especially for swing trades, it's been a little choppy.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's definitely been in a range. It's been very choppy. I have it between the 380 range and the 398 range, somewhere between there. It's just been stuck between there. Man, everyone says the market's going to rip and hit new highs. And that was really the hope whenever Powell was talking last week, but it just got rejected right around that $400 level on the SPY. So we're going to have to see what goes on this week. And it seems like with some of these black swan events and with a lot of these stocks like Caterpillar and all these Dow stocks being at all-time highs, it just seems like that we're just due for some type of pullback here. And I would think that that might start to actually happen here.
All right. Well, Tom, do you have any last minute stocks, options, or any insight for the market for tomorrow?
Yep. One thing I'm actually going to be looking at here is the VXX. I mean, they pulled back over the past few days, hit $12, and it seemed like the VXX was just bouncing off $16, and everybody was just loading up on it. It seemed like trying to really play that big move to the upside. We saw a decent move up to 20, and then it just came right back down. And now we're at 1185, which is it's low over the past couple of years actually. And I think that the VXX might start to go up if the market does start to go down. It might have it actually might have shaked a lot of people out now that it dropped down to like 11 or $12. This is a very volatile stock, so definitely get in and out quick if you do play it. But I think over the next few days we might start to see some good opportunities come out of the VXX.
All right, sounds good. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you want to trade with Tom and I every single day, day trades, swing trades, and access to our bots, click the first link in the description down below for about $40 off. If you are new here, don't forget to subscribe. But other than that, thanks for watching.